Switch on.
All right.
Brilliant, brilliant. Hello,
Let's
Robin.
see.
Hello,
Hello.
hello.
Hello. Good morning or afternoon.
Both morning and afternoon. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, both.
How are you, Robin? How are you?
I I am doing well, thank you.
Most excellent.
Good.
Most excellent. Right.
Switch out my pens here.
This is something that's very important to be consistently and persistently celebrating our wellness. Yeah. And celebrating the changes that are going on in you. Yeah.
Oh yes.
All right.
And it's funny because, to really sit with how you are correct. This is an ongoing process because I catch myself where it's like, I just want to lay down. I just want to go back to,
Right.
and you really have to keep yourself going. But that goes with that habit too that I was talking
Ah,
about. That's so many days of,
ah, ah.
but it's the being accountable is what really
Yeah,
it helps.
yeah.
It's motivating.
And to focus on that progression and the change, to say I am changing, I have changed, means I will change, to make this connectivity to change a profound habit, to celebrate the change every single day. Celebrate the change. Hello, Sue. Yes,
Morning. Good morning.
yes,
Morning,
that's what
Robin.
Sue's been doing too.
Phil. How are you?
mm. Most excellent, thank you. How about you, Sue?
Good. Good. Very good.
Very good, very
A
good.
little snacky snack. How you doing?
mm.
Doing well.
Good.
I will say though that this morning came real quick.
Well,
Did it?
Yeah, so, but I
mm.
got going quickly. I guess I'm getting into a little bit of a routine and
Oh, good.
and
Mhm.
making sure the dogs are taken care of first. Because if the dogs are taken care of, it's almost like when they say, if mama's happy,
Yeah,
Everybody,
everybody's happy.
yeah, yeah.
look at that new shirt that Sil has on today and that vest.
I'm
Woohoo!
styling over here. I'm styling.
You are really styling.
Having
Yeah.
fun with this. Having fun with this. Yeah.
Cool.
Very good. Uh, Making some coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Exciting, exciting stuff going on. I was just saying, Sue, it's very, very critical. We make a habit out of celebrating our joy and our change and our progression and where we at. We don't forget and fall into habits, old habits,
Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm.
where old ways of being come back because that's just
Yes.
because they're familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Very big deal.
Yes.
Also,
Absolutely.
But you know what? But recognizing them, I think, is I'm seeing is part of the fun of it.
Mm-hmm.
exactly, exactly.
Because I can see them, I can recognize them. Even though they're coming up, I'm going. Whereas before, I would have just habitually done it. Where now, at least, I can recognize it.
Yeah.
That's the key. That's
That's
the
your
key, the awareness. And we want to entrench this habit of awareness, of recognition, and particularly the joy to associate it with a positive confirmation so that it's a joyful thing, it's a fun thing, it's an exciting thing. So, yeah, yeah, very important. Very important. Yeah.
If it's one thing I've noticed too, is I'm having more fun.
Yeah, oh,
I
hell
I
yes.
realize that I always used to be a very serious,
Yeah,
fearful
yeah,
way of being, and
yeah,
I'm having fun.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
good.
Exactly, exactly. And it's a big deal. It's a very, very, very big deal to be aware that, hey, learning and growth is fun. It's the way the universe works, it's the way it's all set up. This is the system. What is the best, absolute, most ideal way to learn? Play.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's the system. We've corrupted the system by making work and stress and all this stuff. But the actual underlying system is the best way to learn is to play and have fun. So
Mm-hmm.
we can shift to that and make this a daily thing. When we say, hey, you know what, I love learning, and there's learning available in everything. The entire universe is geared to learning and awareness. Wow, I'm in this giant magical playground of learning. Very different perspective. Very, very different way to live after that. It's
And
phenomenal.
I'm allowing myself. Do
Exactly.
you know, twice in the past week, I mean, this is unheard of. Spur of the moment, I went to 2 wineries.
All right.
But I
All
mean,
right.
with the
Very
with the
cool.
family. But I would never have
Wow.
allowed
Fantastic.
myself to do that. And I sat there on the top of this mountain, just looking out, going, I'm allowing myself to sit here, and because of that,
Yes.
look at how beautiful this is, and
Yes.
why did I hold myself back before? Because
Yes.
there's nothing
Yes.
wrong with this.
Nope. Nope.
Did you go to
Nope.
Blue Ridge? Did you go to Blue
I
Ridge?
did Clover Hill and I did Setter something.
Oh,
Setter,
down
Ah.
down off of Route 100?
yes.
Yeah, yeah. Some you want to view, honey? Go right up to Blue Ridge Wineries up here. Like if you go 512, it's right off of like Kunkletown. I think it's Sailorsburg. It's a Sailorsburg address. You go up 209. It is amazing. Absolutely. Young guy who is a professional Olympic skier. He traveled all around the world with skiing and decided to use some of his parents' property and make this vineyard. And it takes like, I think 7 or 9 years for them to start to even grow. But where he is situated on this mountain, it is absolutely stunning. And, you know, they got the big wraparound porch and you can get meals there and it's very nice.
Ah.
Go check that out sometime. It's really, really pretty.
Yeah. And
Really.
I'm telling you, I would never allow myself to do this. I had this fear in me. Fear of what? Couldn't tell
Yeah.
you.
Ah, there you go. There you go. And again, I'm saying emphasize the joy, emphasize the change.
Yes.
That's the key. We want to make this a habit so that it doesn't just come and, oh, it was a new thing and it comes and it goes. No, no, no. You can do this stuff every single day and it can be fresh and new and exciting and joyful every single day. Yeah, it's a different way to live, but we have to emphasize, we have to train the brain through emphasis to do this. And, this is the key with emphasis. Very important.
And you know, it's funny because going through these modules, so I did finish that module 3, session 2 last night.
Excellent.
It
Excellent.
is so true how all of this stuff builds upon each other.
Hmm.
Because I notice as I'm writing in certain areas, the words are just coming, and then the next question is basically the answer that I had to the previous, and I'm going, oh my gosh.
It happens to me all the time. I forget what's coming in the sessions, and I start talking about it because I've forgotten, but it's the same stuff that's in the slides already. So, yeah, yeah,
That's
it's
funny.
fantastic how that works, and it's
And I'm,
by design. It's intentional. Yeah, yeah.
yes, because also I'm finding what pertains now, some of the other stuff isn't relevant anymore.
Exactly.
It is, but it isn't. It's just that it doesn't have that, I guess, because of the awareness.
Right. It's a progression. It's a progression.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to keep connected to that progression. Progression is really magical, really powerful, really awesome. And it's what we're continually doing. That's our journey into moreness. It's a continual, ever long progression. Yeah, so fantastic. Perpetual thing. How magical is that? We're always in this magic space of in the more and moving towards even more. That's it. Always, always. Really, really cool. Really
Did you
cool.
do that standing task yet? I did it yesterday. It was pretty
Ah,
interesting. Did you do
it's
that
yeah.
yet, Robin?
No, I'll be honest. Except for last week, no, I did not.
That's
All right.
okay.
All
When
right.
you do
It's
it, it's
yeah,
interesting.
yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Oh, that's good. So I'm keen to hear. We'll get into it later, so
Yeah,
we
yeah,
don't bias Robin. So now you'll just have to have a mystery
Oh
there.
no, it's all
Yeah,
good.
it's very powerful, Robin. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to it, and also it's a progressive thing. So as we go and we share the takeaway on it, and we move, you'll see a lots in it, lots in it. Anyway, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. All right, where are we?
Okay.
Where are we, Robin? Where are we?
So I have module 3, session 2, slide 1. The exemplification of being.
Ah, yes, 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 yes.
I will say that a couple of these, as I was doing them last night, stuff was just coming.
Excellent.
And also there was no stuff. So it'll be very interesting. Like in the beginning here, these are from like when I was first doing it, but as we move along, you can see the difference.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, so for my slide 1, my repeat back. Life panic is lack of trust, which is lack of self-trust, self-confidence, and self-assuredness, each resulting in a lack of joy, and it unempowers us. My takeaway, less. When we experience life panic, it creates a lack of self-trust within us. This lack of self-trust then creates a lack of self-confidence, assuredness, and this list can go on. In the end, they all equal less joy. This lack of joy can and will unempower us, thus allowing unawareness to creep in and have stuckness enter.
Yeah, very powerful, very powerful. Ah, before I forget, Robin, did I share the gift of doubt with you, or was it with somebody else?
With me. You
No,
did
I
it
mean
with
like
me.
last week. Yeah, yeah, no, I
Oh,
know I did with you, but I mean like last session.
No,
Oh, okay, no, it was with somebody else. All right.
I'm writing that down though, because that's very interesting.
It's
it's very
it's
close
uh
for it.
it's a
Yeah.
Very
it's a
close.
very particular session. It's a bonus session. It's not included online, so I share it as needed because it has to deal with religion and connecting to and making peace with religion and just finding a different perspective on that. So if this is of something that's of issue to somebody, then I share it. But it's very powerful. It's very powerful. Yeah, yeah. No, okay.
Okay, my slide 2. Self-trust, self-confidence, and self-assuredness are founded on what? Knowing everything? No. Then on what? My takeaway from that was joy can be found in self-trust, self-confidence, and self-assuredness. One may have knowledge of something, but does that knowledge create happiness and joy? Maybe for a moment. True joy and living with joy will most certainly be a result of living impeccably. Living impeccably requires self-trust, self-confidence, and self-assuredness, quite simply because I believe in me. And if I believe in me, I would want nothing more to be impeccable, and being impeccable brings me joy.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. And our impeccability leads to more. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It enables us to connect to more, to be more, and everything that. So the impeccability is the core, that the seed that allows for this flowering of the real self, of the more self, of our moreness that's always been there, allows us to connect to it and access it and use it and enjoy it. So yeah, big deal, big deal, big, big, big deal. Fabulous, fabulous takeaway, Robin. Fabulous. Really cool.
Uh,
Really cool.
my slide 3, my repeat back, and my takeaway were the same. Self-trust, self-confidence, and self-assuredness are all rooted in our ability to do, adjust, figure out, be appropriate, and sensible. It is on our sobriety, patience, and humility that give an energy ability to learn. They create our trust in our intent to goodness, our unrelenting positivity, our perpetual awareness, and our indisputable impeccability.
Yes. Yes. That's just what you were saying in the previous takeaway. Same thing, right? Same thing.
Exactly.
It's
But it's good
enabling,
because
empowering. Yeah.
you have to keep repeating this stuff. You have to keep
Yes. Yeah. It's not necessarily repetition, it's emphasis. That's the issue. Yeah, repetition is a mechanism for emphasis, but you can have repetition every day and it won't mean anything without the actual emphasis. So the emphasis is
emphasis.
saying to our inner selves, to the bureaucrats, our body, our feelings, everything, this is important. And the more you repeat the importance, that's the shift that happens. At some point you say, oh my goodness, yes, this is important to me and I'm going to live according to this importance and live according to my importance, not live according to somebody else's importance. That's a very, very big shift. Massive, massive shift. Massive shift.
All right, slide 4, my repeat back was what happens when I don't have time to learn or figure it out?
Oh, yeah.
My takeaway on that was, but you will. As the ever increasing awareness fills your being, it becomes easy and pull from your arsenal of potency and power pause. Using conceptions from our dictionary of power will always be at our hand, even if it is silence. It may not be time to figure it out. And this knowing of not figuring it out will come alive from the self trust and confidence, which will create a joyful feeling in the not knowing.
Yes, exactly. Also, because you are consistently emphasizing impeccability, its importance, its core value to you, what impeccability is to you, how to apply it more and more. This continual emphasis and practice and implementation of impeccability leads to impeccability becoming your new profound capital H habit. And it's not a limiting habit, it's an enabling habit, because it's obviously based on fluidity and flexibility and adaptability, and impeccability enables us to be appropriate. This means that if we don't have time, our new defaults, what we instinctively are going to go to, is impeccability and appropriateness and sensibility and sobriety. See? So even if we don't have time, we will just trust ourselves to respond sensibly and appropriately, because our new habits of being are founded on impeccability, appropriateness, awareness, sensibility, integrity, ethics, all of this stuff. It's all in this way of impeccability that you're adopting. Your way of impeccability. It's unbelievably awesome. Very cool. Very cool. So you can
Yeah.
trust, even if you don't have time to sit and think it all through to the end, trust. If you have to react immediately, trust yourself. Yeah? Yeah?
I love this. I really love this because
It's huge.
just in those few words, it's that trust without trusting. How many times have we said it, done it, I've spoken it, I've said that I felt it, but now because there's more, it takes on a
Yes.
whole new meaning.
Yes, yes. And in this case, when it comes to needing to act immediately, our trust isn't just a blind, empty trust. It's based on our deep underlying implementation and application and repetition of impeccability, and our connectivity to really understanding what it is. When we truly understand, there's nothing to remember. It goes deep inside us, and this becomes innate. When it becomes innate, it'll come out when the time is there, and we can trust. Let me ask you, real quick, Sue, in terms of trusting yourself when it comes to immediate responses. How has this changed for you?
Um, um, I definitely, I think I always trusted myself. I think I trust myself more,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Definitely. I
But I
don't,
mean, do you agonize over?
no,
That's
no,
what I'm. That's my point.
very, very seldom
There you go.
anymore. Very
There you go.
seldom,
There you
you
go.
know.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there's no, there's not that second, doubting,
Doubt, the
yeah,
doubt. No,
and second
no.
guessing and all that.
Mhm.
It is what it is. I did it at the time. I trusted I was impeccable. End of story. Move on. I didn't have the time. I did my best at the time, because I know inside I am impeccable and I have a deep intent to goodness. There's no point in agonizing it after the fact. If it's a mistake, it's a mistake. So what? It's alternative learning. Big deal. Move on.
Mhm.
Right? We don't deal in mistakes. We have alternative learning. That's it. End of story. Or failures. That's all alternative learning, right? You
Yeah.
like that term, alternative learning.
I
It's
do.
really, 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 really a huge deal. So yeah, I hope it's in your dictionary of power. It's a very big deal, this alternative learning. It just shifts the brain, out of that hierarchy comparison nonsense, which is that idiocy of failure and mistakes. That's only if you got an ego. If you focused on learning and learning is everything, I'm just learning in a different way. Alternative learning. There you go. Yeah. And, look at Edison. He said, in order to get to his inventions, he had to repeatedly fail, 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 and then eventually he figured it out. Without the failure, he would never have invented anything. Repetitive, perpetual, long-standing failure over long periods of time too. Yeah, yeah, it's amazing. It's like, he had hundreds of failures in order to get one positive. Okay, he was happy with that, because to him it was always learning. It was never failure. Yeah, yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very exciting. Very exciting. Very exciting. And it's a joy too, to unhook from this fear of failure and fear of mistakes. Oh my goodness, what a ridiculously poor, inefficient, horrible waste and misuse of our energy. Yeah, it's criminal. It's criminal. So if you find yourself catching yourself doing that, give yourself a few smacks for your criminal behavior. It is horribly criminal. Don't be a criminal.
All
Energy
right,
criminal.
my slide 5, my repeat pack. Trust. Trust is also trust in our personal power. Trusting will make things work out regardless of not knowing how.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
takeaway.
So 1 second there. You
Good.
said trust will make things work out. The nuance here is that we are trusting that we will make things work out using all of our tools, and the trust is that we will make things work out. Slight nuance, right? Regardless of not knowing how it'll work out, we'll make it work out. So our trust is on our own inner sensibility, our personal power, our integrity, our impeccability, etc. Right? It's not a trust on trust itself, it's a trust on ourselves. Because
Right.
our trust is founded on this bedrock, this foundation of impeccability. Our trust is not a hollow trust. Our trust has got a deep, massive, great big pyramid underneath it, right? All of our impeccability, our sensibility, our ethics, our conscience, our deliberation, our determination, our intent to goodness, all of this is part of our impeccability, and this is what our trust is founded on. It's not an empty thing. It's also founded on the fact that we've done everything that we can do. So it's not just a blind hope or a wish, this trust. No, no, no. Trust in ourselves. Yeah. Big, big, big deal. Very big deal. I really
Well,
need to emphasize this with trust to
it's
understand
funny
the
that you
nuance.
say big deal, huge, because my first thing on my takeaway was trust is a huge deal.
Brilliant. Okay. Okay. So it's just the way you said that in the language, it was just that one little
No, but
tweak.
it makes it different. It does
It's a
make it
big
different.
difference. Right, right. And I know you enjoy those tweaks, so that's cool.
Oh, I do.
It's important. It's important. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Love it. Love it. Love it.
So that takeaway then was trust is a huge deal, but trust is also an awareness. You may say, how can I trust in not knowing or being unaware? Because trust is with a capital I. Because if you trust that being unaware will create awareness, then you can watch how your personal power expands and naturally creates a feeling of joy, a joyful feeling filled with trust, and trustful feeling filled with joy.
Can you repeat the whole thing again, please?
Trust is a huge deal, but trust is also an awareness. You may say, how can I trust in not knowing or being unaware? Because trust is with a capital I. If you trust that being unaware will create awareness, then you can watch how your personal power expands and naturally creates a feeling of joy, a joyful feeling filled with trust, and a trustful feeling filled with joy.
Wow, that's pretty deep. There's a tweak here that I just have to
Oh
address
no,
because the
go
way
ahead.
you
Yes,
said it
let's
is
go.
interesting. Right. So you are saying that you are trusting that even though you are unaware, this persisting and continuing to progress into unawareness and explore unawareness will lead to awareness. Is that
Correct.
what you mean? I'm just
Yes,
checking. Okay, okay.
yes,
Because you just said trust in unawareness will lead to awareness. So I'm assuming that you meant more there, and I was just elaborating on what I assumed. I don't like to assume, but so I was just checking, and that's very cool to have a trust and in that to understand that even though we are venturing into unawareness, we trust that this venturing into unawareness will lead to awareness. It's not a trust in unawareness itself, it's a trust in the venturing or adventuring into unawareness, right? So it's a trust that we're venturing or adventuring into unawareness will lead to awareness. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just a
yep.
it's
And
a
I
it's a
no,
slight
no,
tweak,
it's
but
a
yeah,
it's a swipe because if you trust into unawareness, okay,
yeah. Or you can say trusting into unawareness. Okay, that implies some movement, so that tweaks it. But if you just said I thought trust in unawareness, which is a whole different thing. So okay, fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. I mean, you know what you mean, but it is
no,
useful to
but I,
say
you know, yes, I love that tweak because it does, it just shifts it that slight bit that,
yeah,
That gives it more emphasis.
Exactly, and it's a little clearer. So now, because it's fresh, you know what you mean. You come back to this later and say, "Oh, what the hell was I thinking?" It's
Yes.
not so clear. So, I'm aware of this from my own doings like this. I try to be clear because you come back later, it's like, "Oh, what on earth was I saying?" So, not good. So, yeah, it's very helpful, and also the emphasis on this point. Say again, Beena.
I was just asking that I might miss something when Robin was saying that capital T trust with capital I.
Ah,
Is this what
ah.
she said? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it did
Yes.
sound
Yes, I
that
missed
way.
something, sir.
Right. And again, I wanted to come back to that also. Great, great. Thank you, Beena. So when you were saying capital T trust, and then you said I after that, and I'm assuming that capital I was it.
I
It is my
and
capital I that's trusting.
yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So it is not capital T trust with a capital I. It's capital T trust applied by my capital I. Yes.
Yeah, and that sounds better because
Okay.
I can understand where that can get confusing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, we heard what you meant, but what we say and what we
Right. Exactly. And
always
that
the
goes
same.
back to everything that we're talking about. That's
Yeah, yeah. But here's something really
Okay.
magical, Robin. What you are saying is really profound, and what you're meaning is really profound. How you say it, not that critical. The meaning is more important. The reverse is something that's very problematic. When people say and it sounds fantastic, but what they mean is completely something else, and they don't even know exactly what it is they are saying. They just sound and it sounds good. That's no good. So I'm quite happy with this, what in the way this is. When you know what you mean is really awesome and it's together and you understand it, okay, the actual technical expression, this can easily be fixed. But the reverse, not so much. You see, so this is awesome. So don't worry about it. Something I recommend to anybody who's doing creative stuff like writing or painting. Paint ugly, edit pretty. Write ugly, edit pretty. Same thing. It's always write ugly, edit pretty. Get it out. Get out what you mean. The editing, this any idiot can do. You even got software that can edit for you, right? But to get that meaning, that content, this is the key. This is the important thing. The editing, don't do it at the same time because the editing brain, it's a whole other brain. It's not connected to meaning. It's not connected to greater connectedness. It's not connected to understanding. It's just connected to technicality. So don't get in your technical brain when you're doing these takeaways. It's fantastic. So do your takeaways, right? Ugly. We can edit now. Yeah. I just want to make this very clear that because we are doing a bit of editing, I don't want to put an emphasis that this is important. No, it's not. It's not. It's just clarification. It's just extra leading to moreness. But no, getting that raw truth out, the understanding, the depth of it, that's the key point. And this is what's happening, and it's fantastic. It's fantastic. Yeah.
yeah. You know what I realized with all of this, and we might
Yeah.
have touched on this before. This is like doing a journal.
It is
I
a
am
journal. It is
I
a
am
journal.
journaling.
Is a journal, right? Now, when I started this, I set up the Facebook group with the intent, at least, for the participants to share their journey, this journaling journey, to go on the group and say, you know what, today I learned this, today I was becoming good, today I appreciated this, today I applied this and implemented this. But it's not everybody has the time to do it because there's so much in the program, so it doesn't happen, and that's cool. I don't expect it or necessarily even want it because I want it to be natural, however it goes for whoever. I mean, but it is something that is very powerful when you do journal your journey, which is slightly different to doing the takeaways. Like when we started and you said, oh, we went to the wineries, to share the application and implementation and the joy and the celebration, to journal, the entire experience kind of from an external point of view. It's very powerful, very, very, very powerful. So I try to bring this in when we start to ask and the connectivity because I want to keep it fresh, that application, that progression, that awareness of change, the awareness of joy, the awareness of the moreness, the awareness of the understanding. Gotta keep emphasizing it. It's very important. So yeah, the journaling is very valuable. Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, I would really, if somebody's into writing, I say, man, write a book about this.
Yeah.
Even if you don't publish it, still good. Of course, there's ways which this book can come into being a recommendation or a task that might be quite a stressful event. But anyway, I teased Sue. We did just as a task. I put it into one of the Mourners Project tasks. I said, okay, your task is to take all your notes and to this is your thesis. You got to make a thesis and write a book on it, and at least like 75,000 words. And I mean, it was all very serious. And like Sue's like saying to Bill, "Oh my God, what's wrong with Sil? Has he gone mad or what?"
Bill goes,
And
is
Bill
he
is like,
Bill
"What's that?"
goes, is he on crack cocaine? And wants to write a book?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
we got the biggest part. We're
Oh,
still laughing about it.
it
We're
was
still,
great.
they
It
set
was
me
great.
up.
It was great.
They set me up so perfectly to think that, and I'm a doer. I'm a task
Right,
accomplisher. I'm like,
exactly.
well,
But there was a good justification for it too. It wasn't just like
yeah, yeah.
like I said. Well, we have to check to make sure that we're legitimate, and I don't know. It was a long good thing. It was very well done. So it was kind of
But and we got a message from Sue. So far, 110 words.
yes.
Because I Googled, I thought, how many pages is that? So I started looking up average number of words on a page, and because I didn't know how to count the words with what I was using in notes. And I said to Bill, so I Googled it. I said, oh my God, that's about 250, 300 pages. I said, oh my God. So I texted him, I said, do you know how to count what application I can use to count my words? I said, so I can keep this going. I said, I'm only at 110.
Oh, Beena and I were cracking up. It was so precious. It was so beautiful. It was magical. But here's the fun part of it, though.
What?
Oh,
The
yes.
Sorry, I said the fun part of it was that when I made the task, I said, maybe this is a bit harsh, maybe a bit cruel on Sue. But I said no, because you know what? Actually, if Sue kind of thinks it through a little bit to the end, she'll realize that with all the notes she already has, likely she's got more than enough to make a book. And how much notes did you have? It turned out to be, I don't know, like 250,000 words or something, right?
Unbelievable.
Yes.
So I put it in a program to count the words. And it took me the whole time I was talking to him to copy with my finger holding down on the shift key and the down key. It ended up being, I'm like, I got a book. We're done.
Okay.
You got a book series, never mind a book series.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So
Your notes are amazing.
at some point, in some form or another, when we're done with everything, to really go back and pull, because there's a lot of extraneous stuff, to start pulling it and condensing it and refining it and make your own the book of Sue and the book of Robin
yes.
too. That's going to be something really special. It's going to be really something. And
Yes.
you're already starting on that project, right, Sue? With your Dictionary of Power, you were filling in the extended
Oh, yeah, it was very fun. I sorted everything.
I can't wait to get to that. Can't wait.
I did mine, Robin, every time I had a module or a session. That's how I put them in my Dictionary of Power folder. I put the module in the session number, and then I just started listing the words that really stood out for me. Well, till you're all set and done, there's tons of duplicates. Yeah. And because I'm not a spreadsheet kind of person, but I figured it out yesterday on how to bring that over into numbers and then sort that and remove duplicates and then alphabetize it. Yeah. So I have 983 entries.
Isn't that something?
Wow.
That's something.
Power.
Yeah.
When you think about that, adding that many conceptions to your work, I mean, you want to talk about an arsenal of power. Yes. Yikes. Yes. So I'm going through each one. I said, I'm only on number 83, to define them, but what a cool a project, to do.
Yes.
It really, again, I've been doing these for 4 or 5 months now, but now I think it's even more powerful because I can see how quickly I can describe them because it's already inside.
Yes. And the thing is, when you can describe it and you can articulate that extended understanding. In other words, when you can express and elucidate that underlying pyramid, which the capstone is the power term itself. This means that when you use that power term in your brain, that entire pyramid is now being implemented. So I'm not just saying the word impeccability. I'm saying best use of energy, giving due respect, being thorough, scrupulous, diligent, being right according to my conscience, etc., etc. This is really, really ridiculously powerful. So you know what you mean by the
Yeah.
words.
I do
That
use those conceptions. Yeah.
you are not just saying the word. You are in actual fact applying the meaning. Transformative, transformative, transformative.
Yes, because it's becoming
Transformative.
innate. Because the more,
Exactly.
when we started
Exactly.
this, it was just like the word impeccable. But now the
Exactly.
more I'm writing it, I
Exactly.
feel it.
Exactly. Not only that, the greater magic happens, and that is the magic of connectivity. Because all of these terms start to overlap. And now,
Yes.
when you start to really flesh them out and you get that full pyramid underneath, that is also a pyramid that has like tentacles and feelers and energy filaments coming out of it that connect to all the other terms. And eventually, they all start interconnecting. And it's kind of like they light things up inside you. They connect. The more they connect, the more you connect, and the more you become empowered and understanding. It's a magical, magical process. It's really something super powerful. Yeah. So it's called the Dictionary of Power. I don't know. Yeah, how much more to say that? I guess you can call it the dictionary of superpower, but at some point it becomes a bit redundant. So yeah, it is something truly, 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 really huge. And then too, like we were saying last week, the point of the dictionary of power, yes, it is to understand all of this, but they are also the foundation stones for your self-conception. Now, self-conception here, you can fill in whatever particular words you want. Makes no difference. Just that self-conception, whichever one you happen to apply in the moment. This new transformative, expanded, open-ended self-conception, it is built up, it is founded on all of the terms in the dictionary of power. So you can think of that self-conception as being like one of those super fisherman vests, where they have pockets every single place on it, right? And in each pocket you've got a dictionary of power term, right? So this is like your super tool belt of your self-conception is this vest, and each entry in your dictionary of power is in a little pocket, like a little tool that you can pull out as needed, right? Very cool way to just visualize it, so the
No, I like
dictionary of
that
power.
visualization.
Yes, it is. It is like the self conceptions. You could say, oh, tool belts. Okay, I'm roofing. I got a slightly different tool belt on that when I'm flooring, or whatever. So same thing. We use different tool belts for stuff, but they still contain all the tools. It's just that they placed a little bit more handly, because when you're roofing, you're using these. Or when I'm a life detective, okay, I'm using discernment a little bit more than when I'm being a spirit dancer, where I'm using joy and freedom a little bit more. So different concept, but you still always have all the tools in your tool belt. Yeah, yeah, always. So very exciting, very exciting. So there's a greater logic to it all. It all fits together to lead to this transformation, and that leads to daily, moment to moment application. That's what
Yes,
we're after.
and I want to say thank you to Sue for that when you're talking about that 4 or 5 months and you're working on this, because the one thing that I've noticed that has come up for me in the past few days, once again, is that pacing.
Yes, very important.
And because, I have, I'm starting to recognize where I used to look at this as the word detriment's coming up, but that's not the right word. But I have a family. I have work, I have a husband, I have
Yeah,
kids, I have
yeah,
dogs.
yeah.
And so that little kid, I want to be able to do this and I want to do this now, but also I'm making peace with,
Yes,
I have a family and okay, so you have a family, you've got things to do. When you have
very
time,
important.
you go to it.
Exactly.
So
Yeah,
I recognized it,
awesome.
but I'm not struggling with it as
Yes,
much.
yes, yes.
Uh,
Pacing is always as appropriate
yeah.
as is everything,
Balance.
right?
Hmm.
As appropriate, as
As
appropriate,
appropriate,
as appropriate,
yeah.
right? I mean, Sue's been very fortunate that we were in a position so that these 4 or 5 months have been pretty much like 4 or 5 years, right, Sue?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we had COVID. What else? We couldn't do anything. We couldn't go anywhere.
It's
So
perfect. It's perfect.
10 to 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, applying to this, it was like just a massive entrenchment. But again, knowing that you know, I'm still a furry mom, you know, dog mother of a furry child, you know,
Right,
and have a
right,
husband.
right.
But
And you
And a
know, you
husband, right? And
it's
yes,
exciting. It's
yeah,
exciting. It gives you this motivation to keep going, you
it's very
know.
powerful, very powerful.
yes.
But you
There's
gotta put it
motivate. Yes, there's this motivation. There's this
Mhm.
more. There's this moreness.
Yes.
I want more.
Right. Now, this is really powerful. How you get to realize, oh my goodness, you know, self-growth, self-awareness. This isn't just a desire. This is a need
Mhm.
for you, for you.
Yes.
It's a
Yes.
need. It's not just a want or a desire. It's an innate, deep need of your being. It's who you are. You need the stuff. You don't just want it.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're both. You want and need, but you know, it's very. Not everybody feels it as a need. They see it as a good thing to do, and okay, if I, you know, but they don't feel it
Yes.
as a deep innate need. For you guys, it's a need, and that's important to be aware of. It's very important to be aware of. It's a very big deal. It's a very big deal, and it's a big criteria for me in who I wish to do the program with. If you don't feel that real deep desire as a need, I can't say I'll be that motivated to do the program with someone. You know,
Yeah, no.
it's a big
So
deal. It's a massive, massive big deal. Makes all the difference in the world. But to be aware of it, though, as a need, you can't deny that need. It will lead to all sorts of problems and frustrations and stresses and you know your deep self. If you are in a work situation which doesn't allow for it, that part of you may sabotage your work situation to create the time and space where you can spend on this. So, just saying, we have to be aware of our deep self. What's important to the deep self cause problems otherwise. It's fantastic. It's really amazing. Very cool. Very cool. Very, very cool. All right,
All right.
what's next?
My slide 6 is pretty empty. I will say this one was a tough one, so I kind of left it here. I'll show you my notebook. There's empty space, so
Wow, brilliant.
I can write with this. So my repeat back, and I don't even know if this is the whole thing, because as I said, this was definitely one where I
That's all
said, you
right.
know what,
Oh, good.
we're going to go over this. Trusting our personal power, no matter how small, is part of our impeccability.
Yeah,
Impeccability is the best use of our energy.
yeah,
This is our difference of our way of being, of living as a spirit warrior.
yeah, 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 yeah. And that's what you've been, every single takeaway you've done so far has been, and what we've been talking about is precisely this. So no wonder it's empty because you've already do it. This is just a repeat, essential, you know, in the program, just an encapsulation of everything that's gone before. So there is no more to be said because you've already said it all. Yeah,
So maybe that's what that was.
there you go. It's like I got this. I got this. Yeah, 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 yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So yeah,
All
you
right,
know,
well then,
again, when we realize this is the difference between now and before, the difference is this new way of being and living in this new way, living with impeccability. It's a profound change. It's a profound, profound shift. And we want to emphasize it and celebrate it, which is, you know, where we started this day. So,
Mhm.
yeah, very cool.
uh,
Very cool.
And always asking yourself, am I being impeccable? No matter what it is that you're doing, you know,
Exactly.
when you're washing the dishes, when you're working on
Yes.
a client,
Yes.
am I
Yes.
being impeccable?
Right. Especially ask
yes.
yourself this if you are in some kind of a mood that is not a not so desirable mood, because part of our impeccability is to be joyful.
Mhm.
Right.
Right.
And you know, what I just picked up, like you said, just doing those simple tasks, the washing the dishes. I've been told over the years from many, many people to just, you can find joy in the simplest of tasks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's funny because that would always be in the back of my head, and I'd be going, okay, so where am I finding that joy? But do you know now that I'm truly aware of what that is, I am finding joy in the
Yes.
simplest of tasks.
Yes.
Doing
Yes.
laundry, I'm going, I'm doing laundry.
Yes. Yes. Did we talk about the moreness of doing laundry?
No, I don't think
As
so.
oh, to say, well, not only as part of way of impeccability can we find just joy in simple mundane things, we like to get value and usefulness out of everything, moreness. So we take something like laundry and we transform it into a magically powerful exercise, an exercise of association management. So when next time you load the laundry, say, okay, you take this thing, all right, what do I want to get rid of? What do I want to clean out of my system? A bit of unnecessary worry. Okay, there you go. That's worry. Next item, this is a bit of anxiety. Okay, this was a bit of stress. This was a bit of self-doubt. Okay, so you end up loading the washing machine with the things in yourself that you want to get rid of, like habit. Okay, habit. There's a whole bunch of you load the rest all habit. Okay, I want to get rid of all this. I want to. Now you set that intent. You're loading that washing machine with the intent to clean out and wash from you what you don't want, right? And
Oh,
now,
I like
put
that.
the washing machine on. There you go. Bye bye, all this stuff. And you can do this with washing the dishes, with vacuuming, with sweeping, anything that's clearing or organizing. When we associate it to those abstract things that we wish to clean, to clear, to get rid of, fantastic. Very cool, very cool. Now, you also want to have associative activities that put in the replacement, right? So, in the context of laundry, I guess you would have to say you need some activity like when you're folding it. Okay, I'm folding in my impeccability. I'm folding in my integrity. I'm folding in my sobriety. See, then when you put it on and when you wear it, you're feeling that. It's just a visualization exercise, but it's association management and it's emphasis as well. It's very powerful. I mean, our body is our primitive brain, it's a bit primitive, so it sort of believes in primitive magic. And okay, well, there we go. We're doing a magical exercise. We have a part of our brain that completely believes this stuff. So okay, we leverage it. So, we don't care. We don't care how sensible it is or rational. We get the value out of it. It's incredibly valuable to do this. Very, very valuable. Yeah,
I will remember that.
yeah,
I will, may not always happen, but I know I'll be more aware of that
yeah, yeah,
as thank you. I like that.
yeah. I mean, essentially, what we are doing is we are treating the world as an extension of ourselves. See? So, okay, you know what?
Well, that's just when you say everything is energy. And I always go, okay, everything is energy. I know everything is energy, but
Exactly,
it's more. And
exactly,
that connection
exactly,
was just made of,
exactly.
now I get what
Right,
they mean, but
right.
it's more of my energy. It's more of,
Exactly. And we can associate anything with anything. This is our power. And most of the stuff and nonsense we have, and the beliefs and stresses and worries, it's all just from poor, faulty association. We can clear that. We can rectify that. We can remedy it. It's very simple. Very simple thing. So yeah, doing the laundry, doing the dishes, these become now really profound self-awareness, self-cleansing, self-transformation exercises. And also, likewise, whenever you're doing something constructive, especially when you're cooking food, man, you put that whatever spice you're adding in. Yes, my impeccability. Okay, just be careful, you don't go overboard with the spice when you're adding in impeccability. But it's sobriety. So now you are cooking, and when you eat that, you're eating wave impeccability food every time. Fantastic, fantastic.
you know, it's going to be so funny. Kevin, my husband,
Uh,
he's going to be shocked that he's going to have so much clean clothes at all times.
there you go. There you go. There you go. Yeah. So, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
doing a
yeah.
task. I'm doing
There
my
you go.
schoolwork.
There you
I'm
go.
doing my
There you
schoolwork.
go. Yeah, yeah. And I
Yeah.
can just see that spicy food. Oh, how come it's so spicy? Oh, the curry or the whatever. It's my impeccability that I'm putting in there.
That's right.
He's crying. It was hot.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's funny.
Yeah.
You know, it's fun because now look at slide 7. My repeat back was impeccability demands throwing out petty and inappropriate ego and emotional considerations.
Exactly. There you go. There's your
But
task for
that's
your,
kind
for
of
your
what we're talking.
laundry.
There's a task of
Precisely.
yes. Oh my
Precisely. Or
gosh.
for the dishes or for vacuuming or any organizing or cleaning activity or clearing. Anything that you can do it with so much. I mean, you can do it with even something that isn't that. You can go for a walk and say every footstep you're getting rid of something. Association is a magical thing. We can associate anything to anything. You can go stand in the wind and you can say, okay, wind, you're going to blow away all this stuff. Our imaginations are unlimited in this. We just have to do it as a practice, and it can blow out stuff and blow in stuff. So Matter of fact, that's a very big part of sort of natural logic, this connectivity to the wind. A lot of natural traditions that have logic. There's be very careful of the wind and pay attention. Sometimes it's blowing nonsense and sometimes it's blowing good stuff. You have to really pay attention to the energy of the wind, and it's a useful thing to do. We can learn a lot from it, paying attention to the wind. Yeah, yeah, very
And
useful.
also, I think association management alone is just a powerful tool. Like this,
Yes,
we're talking about is positive,
yes, yes,
appropriate association
yes,
management. There's
yes,
also
yes.
the inappropriate,
Exactly,
like when you make an
exactly.
association of seeing a spider to fear or going to the dentist
Right,
as
right.
or something.
Yeah,
I mean, those you need to learn to manage to become
right,
positive,
right,
but there are
right,
inappropriate or
right.
negative,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. I mean,
association.
somebody like, for instance, with a spider inappropriately. Okay, we don't like for spiders, but I walk over the threshold of my door, and at that moment, it happens to be that a spider falls on me, and I freak out. But in my brain, I remember the threshold with this fear. I forget the spider. This happens to people. That's how they develop phobias.
Yeah.
And now you have a phobia of crossing the threshold, and you're all scared of and you forgot where it came from. You forgot that it was a spider because you just remember the fear. So that's where inappropriate associations can come from. This happens all the time, that just randomly by happenstance things got, or misunderstandings, misperceptions. When we were young, we didn't get it. So yeah, it's very important to look at when we do have stresses, fears, worries. Why? What's the association here? What's the underlying belief? And is it a valid belief or a misbelief? When it's that's the association, is that connectivity between the belief and the actuality. So yeah, very, very powerful. Thank you, Sue. Very, very powerful. Yeah,
So my takeaway on that was there is no room for petty ego or emotional nincompoopry if we are to live impeccably. To be impeccable as a spirit warrior, we are choosing to be appropriate at all times.
yeah,
This is created from awareness.
yeah,
Awareness will help facilitate self assuredness, self trust, self confidence.
yeah.
All of these bring aware, oh, I said into. All of these bring into our awareness a self joy, self love that has no room for petty or inappropriate ego.
Yes, yes, yes. All right. So yeah, I want to make a big pause here real quick. And I think we discussed this before, but I want to re-emphasize it. And this is a problem that comes automatically from learning and growing. And that moreness, the moreness of joy, the moreness of impeccability, the moreness of sobriety and sensibility, the moreness of our spirituality, the moreness of our connectivity. The more we progress and expand ourselves and connect more and more to moreness, it automatically creates a problem, right? And that is, the more we are expanding our real self, the more our petty ego, which was a capital I, now starts to become a little I, and it starts shrinking, shrinking, shrinking more. And this I says, wait a minute, I used to be the captain of this starship over here. Now I'm being demoted and I'm going down the ranks. I'm not even a crewman anymore. And next thing they're gonna, put me out of the airlock into space, which is what we are intending to do, right? So this little I, the ego, starts to panic. Now, it's a very important thing to understand, because that little I, our ego, it came about through physical need to survive, right? So this is where the whole hierarchy, I'm surviving, and we've killed the animal, and we're fighting over who's going to get to eat as much as we possibly can. So the ego, which was superior, says, I'm superior, I get to eat first and eat it more. This was a massively valuable survival thing. So this ego, this petty I that we're looking to get rid of, is very connected to the body. So now, as it shrinks, 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 it starts to feel that it's being killed, and the body can start to believe this also. And it can cause trouble for us, because it's now scared that it's being wiped off the face of the earth. Yeah, it really gets intimidated and scared, and it will do things to reassert itself in order to feel like it's not going. Now, of course, it isn't true, and it's a whole misbelief, and it's a misassociation, and we need to get that little I to surrender at some point. Now, all your spiritual traditions will talk about this. Keep going with your learning, with your growing, with your spirituality. At some point, the little I will give up and surrender, but it can cause a lot of trouble in the meantime. Okay, so How do we deal with the surrender of the little I? Yes, we can go the traditional way and you just keep persisting and you just got to deal with this resurgence of nonsensical nincompoopry that comes up in us. However, wave impeccability, you want to be a bit more sophisticated in this and we want to be a bit more aware of it. So the awareness in the first place is greatly beneficial. Secondly, we have a massively powerful tool, and that's laughter. Capital L, laughter. Now, this is pure, real, true laughter. It's not the laughter of mockery or derision or denigration or demeaning or derogatory laughter. None of those. No. It is real, true, pure laughter, which is just laughing at the folly, laughing at the nincompoopry. And this you, Robin, have really been practicing and implementing quite marvelously, laughing at your own nincompoopry. So we want to use this laughter at our own little I, because this is the way the little I surrenders. There's nothing for the little I to do when you are laughing purely at its foolishness. All it can do is, okay, and pretend that this is it has no comeback. It has no way to fight when you are not laughing at it, but you're just laughing at the foolishness of what it does. It has no way out of that except to surrender. That's it. So we want to use laughter in this context. It's an incredibly powerful tool. Furthermore, so laughter, make sure laughter is very prominent in your dictionary of power, little stars around it and everything. That we want to also practice just laughing for no reason at all. It's a very cool skill. It's a very magical skill. It's really powerful, because when we can do this, we have the ability to laugh at nonsense, and we want to laugh at things that are ridiculous, like Trump. He's absurd. Despite the seriousness of his nincompoopry and the hassle it can cause, we need to see that idiotic, nonsensical, ridiculous side and just be able to purely laugh at it without any emotional baggage attached. Very, very powerful, very free, very free. So I think I said this before, maybe on Monday, but anyway, it bears repeating. It's a big point. Yeah, it comes from the slide here now. So we have to understand that the progression causes a problem, right? The more you go bigger, the more we get into moreness, the more there's a lessness of some kind also. And this lessness is that little I, ego. It just keeps shrinking, 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 and it can cause problems. Yeah,
No,
yeah,
and I definitely see with the physical.
yeah, yeah.
That was really profound for me, because if it's one thing I'm noticing as I'm growing, expanding, I'm noticing more physical in my personal being than I ever have.
Yeah, yeah.
And this was really needed. I really needed this, because I don't want to fear anything. I want to look
Excellent,
at it. I want
excellent.
to address it and not